You don't have to be in mainstream TV to captivate an audience. If Manchester United lost the game, people would come to the UTR video and be like, Man United lost, UTR are going to cheer my day up. Fast forward however many years, I'm on 2.1 million subscribers on YouTube.
Hello and welcome to the Sports Pundit Podcast, the show for people shaping the future of sport. Driven by my curiosity working in the industry, I've brought together leading executives to host conversations with decision makers across innovation, marketing, media, finance, and performance, unpacking their strategies and industry-shaping ideas.
Hello and welcome along to the Sports Pundit Media Podcast, where in these special episodes, we will be diving into the business of sports media and the changes, challenges, and developments happening within it. I'm Jo Redfern, a digital and youth media specialist, and from beginnings in traditional broadcast, I've spent the last 5 years working across digital platforms, and that means YouTube and Roblox and TikTok. And I'm delighted to be co-hosting with Michael Cohen.
Hey everyone, for the last decade, I've been building at the intersection of sport, media, and the creator economy, leading Whistle as CEO through its exit to 11 Sports and DAZN, and now through Disruptive Play, partnering with companies and creators to shape the next wave of sport and media IP. And our first episode, we're delighted to welcome Manny Brown, who's had a distinguished 13-year journey across various social platforms and YouTube, as a gamer, as a footballer, as an investor, and we're really excited to welcome him to the podcast.
Let's dig in. So tell us about Under the Radar. Really interested in digging into that. It was kind of your version of a sports doc, but tell us your story about your time on YouTube and bring in Under the Radar as well.
Yeah, so my time on YouTube stemmed obviously from like my love of gaming, my love of football, and over the years it's just kind of blended into one. But back when I was in school, it was really cool to record your games and just post it to wherever, just even so your group of friends could see it. And then as time went on, there were people like Zerka and KSI. I'm actually one of KSI's first 55,000 subscribers, actually. Like, because we used to grow up watching him. So if we got a gap in our day in IT or something, he'd put like maybe his clips on, or Zerka when he was doing like the Call of Duty stuff.
You should have a gold badge for that.
Yeah. I probably should. I don't even know if he knows that. It was just cool to film your stuff and like talk about amongst your friends. And then at some point, for some people, it became like a job. And when I started it out, it never was intended to be a job. It was just fun to do. And then I still remember going and asking my mum for something called a HD PVR, which is what you use to record your games. And Toby actually sent me to ask my mum, and we didn't think that it was going to happen because it was about £175 or so at the time. And she did buy into it, and I don't know why to this day. And then from there, Toby took that and then started his YouTube career. So he started a year before me. But yeah, it all stemmed from gaming. Then slowly over time, it went into football. And the whole reason why Under the Radar itself became a thing is because after I left sixth form, one of my friends asked me, do you want to come and play Sunday football? So I took a little camera down to this first game because I was already doing content at this point, and I called it My Sunday League Experience. And from there, it like really took off. And I was playing with this team called Tevia at that time. And then after that, maybe we just thought, let's do our own thing. So I got my friends, my brothers together and made this team called Under the Radar FC, which the premise of that was the fact that we had good players, but no one had really spotted them or seen them. So we used this as a platform to showcase what they can do and their abilities. So I'm running for 7+ years. That's one of the little things that I've got from the club. It's a picture of me that we took in the first season or so. And that's just a bit of memorabilia from that. Yeah, it's been a great journey. And it's also a way that we've showcased that you don't have to be in mainstream TV or whatever to captivate an audience, because the way people have seen it is Sunday League is relatable, and that's anyone from age 5 or 6 up to 30 and above, really, because Sunday League is something that everyone can relate to growing up, playing it, watching it, taking your kids to it. It's something for everyone, really. So we had that, and we just grew an audience. Obviously, I had KSI and Mini Minter and obviously my brother in there as well. So it helped initially, but even after then, we were able to keep a core following of people that just wanted to watch us, saw us as their second team. So I always use this as an example. If Manchester United lost the game, people would come to the UTR video and be like, "Man United lost. UTR are going to cheer my day up," or something like that.
That's quite something, isn't it? To be everybody's second favourite team. I know
Yes.
some big teams that would love to be everybody's second favourite team. Yet you went and did it with Under the Radar. And that
Yeah.
I think is really interesting because you did it because it was your passion as well. And that came across, and you went and showcased that on the channel. But you also did it you gave people access, and that accessibility, like you say, Sunday League is so popular in the UK. It's something that most people will have seen, or they know someone who plays Sunday League football, or they've gone down to watch on a Sunday morning when there's not much else to do. But you gave a voice and gave access to that. So
Yeah.
what do you think that broadcasters could really learn from that? Because clearly there's a demand to watch that more grassroots football.
I think something that I didn't realize, and I look back on it now, is the ability to be able to create a story that people are willing to be invested in.
Right.
So we created a story of, hey, we're these guys, we just want to play football and enjoy it together with brothers, friends, whatever. And people jumped on that journey with us. And like we had a documentary that we did. And if you see it, like every bit of that documentary was just pieced together so well. And it created like the ultimate bit of cinema. We played in a final where we were 2-0 down. We made it 2-1. Then we made it 2-2. They scored an own goal. And then they get a penalty. They miss that penalty. Then we give away another one straight off the back of that. Then they miss that as well. And then it goes to penalties and I score the winning penalty. Like, it's just like, you couldn't really write it how it sort of all pieced together. But it was to the point where obviously now, like, people watch 90-minute matches, but they're not engaged for 90 minutes. The way football is, especially now, they're not engaged for 90 minutes. It's very rare that you get games of excitement for 90 minutes. So at that time, I was uploading 55-minute Sunday League videos, and people are watching this the whole way through and even complaining when I'm not making them that long. This video is too short. I haven't finished my dinner, and you've created this thing where every Sunday people know that it's gonna be there. The moment it's not there, they're asking for it. Even now, people are still asking me for it. So I think for broadcasters, it's like, how can you also create formats that can tell a story and engage, especially a young audience? And we're finding it now, it's very, very difficult to engage a young audience because there's so much media to be consumed and it's at the fingertips. Like, even for me with my son, like, he'll click on a video and he's on to the next one within a minute or so. So it's like, how can you then create a storyline or something that wants to grip and hold people to actually be like, I want to watch this?
Yeah, agree.
How do you think about people like Spencer FC and how they've inspired you and things that you've done differently with UTR?
Spencer is an amazing one and a very good example. I've known him for many, many years now. And even part of my journey, he's part of the reason why I've been able to do some of the things that I've done to this date, be that playing at Wembley or whatever. He was also that kind of mind that got creative and said, I want to do something that's a bit different. And exactly what I'm saying in terms of how can I create something that creates a storyline and can get people invested, young people invested. And he did that with the Wembley Cup time and time again. And that's the kind of stuff that people are ready to engage in. You got your favorite creators in one space and you've created something where they're going to go up against each other. And alongside that, create little tiny storylines in there that keep the people hooked and wanting to watch. So he's been a big inspiration. He did that with the Wembley Cup. Then he went on to do it with #United and created the story of taking them into the real football pyramid, which is something was like, oh, I want to see if Spencer can actually take them. Can Spencer take them all the way to the Premier League? Is that something that I'm going to see in my lifetime? So he's been able to do that and captivate a young audience and a core audience. And now with #United, they've got this core that actually follow them through their journey and have done for years.
This idea about fandom and community, which comes up a lot, but people tend to throw those words around without really knowing what it means or how hard it is to build and manage a community. And that's what you've spent over a decade doing with your YouTube community. And I think it was really interesting how you said, you created something with UTR where it was not only they were watching people that they related to, but stuff that, really great games. Sometimes they're a bit scrappy, might not be the highest quality of football, but there was a story and there was passion there. And that's the kind of thing that people really relate to. So through that, you built your community. Then when you've got that community, how do you engage with them? How do you learn from them? How do you manage them? It's quite a big responsibility to have one, right?
It is a very big responsibility, especially because one way or another, no matter how normal you see yourself, people then start to put you on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So it's like being able to stay engaged enough, not to put yourself far above these people, but also to listen to them and understand them, be able to take criticism that really and truly on the internet you're not protected from. Um, so with that, it's just understanding the position that you're in, understanding that regardless of what you want, there's also the requests and the needs of the supporters and the viewers. So say, for example, someone might say to me on a Sunday League video, oh, I don't like your face cam. It was too big in the corner. Can you make it smaller? So I'll listen to that feedback and okay, I'll make it smaller. Or the music's too loud on this. Can you turn it down? So for the next one, the music's been turned down. So it's just having that access and that ability to communicate with your viewership is very, very key.
And does that breed a bit of resilience as well? I guess you've got to be okay with the criticism when they come at you.
Yeah, I think that's a case by case thing and a personal thing. I think the way I was raised to believe in myself and also believe that regardless of what anybody said about me, I know who I am in myself. And it's funny that you say that because I don't know if you've seen the news of Eze, Tottenham, Spurs, Arsenal, but a Tottenham fan came at me because I was just basically laughing because he went to Arsenal. And he said, oh, you're one of the most boring YouTubers or something like that. And to try and get under my skin. And I just laughed it off. I didn't say anything. I just laughed and I thought, it's funny that you think that's something that's going to get to me. I've been able to do all these things through this platform and that's not going to be enough. And even then, just like with having that community, also people that don't like you will have access to you. And it's just a part of just building up that resilience to just be like, it doesn't matter. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm here for. And most of the time, you'll have 99% positive and 1% negative.
How much do you think about that community as driving, your involvement, investment in formation games? Like how much did that sort of drive your thoughts around that?
I think like pretty similar to like the startup of me getting into content anyway, being a part of something that is going to create fun and just be fun for other people is major for me. And with the club setup and what they're trying to do with that, I've created a football team. So this is a virtual representation of what I've tried to do in real life. And when we tried to emulate what Spencer did with hashtag, we learned a whole new level to things of like, you need to make sure that you have benches, you need to be able to provide a referee dressing room. So it's like club is like the representation of doing this thing and being a club owner, but virtually. So I thought that is just a pretty cool idea from the start, and that's why I was happy to get involved.
What's your goal there? What do you want to see happen with club?
I want to see it get as big as it possibly can. So maybe from then it is the go-to game for people who are like, who do want to pass a bit of time on their mobile, do want to escape from the everyday pressures of life, because that's what gaming is to me. Generally, it's an escape. And it always has been that thing. It's something that kept me out of trouble. I wasn't hanging around with the wrong crew or anything because the moment the school bell went, I went home to play my games. And even if I had homework, I might do it the other way around, or I might do my homework quickly so I can play my games. So I hope that club can be that sort of escape and also that virtual sort of world for someone to be able to do what we've done with hashtag or under the radar and create their own club and build it up and just be that hub for that little bit of an escape.
What's been the sort of biggest challenge or learning as you've gotten into club and gotten involved in it?
I think in terms of learning, I'm still learning every day with just how it goes from, you think maybe just like a game is just an idea and then you just turn it around. But I think the time that it takes and even doing the bug fixes and all these things that I'm hearing about, and I'm not too technical on that side of things, but just knowing how much goes into that, you see that it's quite amazing that even on a yearly basis, other games are being turned around. But But I think it's just that thing of being able to build from such a small concept and seeing that like visually represent itself as just as reality, to be honest now. So I think the challenges are learning what the audience wants. I'm in the game myself, so I get a lot of messages saying, "Bring me better players. Why are you not bringing me better players?" And I say, like, "Hey, it's not my fault. It's the game engine. It just give you whatever, and if you get a good player, you get a good player." But I take the brunt of the blame a lot of the time. But yeah, no, it's just very cool to be a part of.
And gaming is such a big part. I mean, it's been a big part of your life, but actually, gaming is such a big part of most people's lives now, particularly younger generations. I mean, gaming is everywhere. You know, whether you're playing Fortnite or Roblox or mobile, it's a way of showing that fandom as well.
Mhm.
Much like you had fans that were following your journey on YouTube, I think gaming is a way to show your fandom, and it's social as well.
Mhm.
So in terms of, you've got your YouTube, you've got the investment into gaming, you've got the podcast with your brothers. So your family now, it's a pretty impressive media business. You spoke about personal brand and family. How are you all juggling that?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because obviously myself and Toby's been doing it for 13 years or so. I've just gotten into my 13th year now. And with content as a whole, we're kind of not desensitized to it, but in a way we're used to it. So now, like, I've got the podcast, and my younger brother, who's actually just more of a footballer, he's now having to learn the ropes of like how to be on camera or how to like, obviously as a footballer, you do get media trained at some point or whatever, but not even in terms of media training. It's like when you're on a podcast, people think you're just sat there talking, but you still need to talk in a way that engages and tries to keep and captivate an audience.
How much younger is Jed than you and Toby?
He is 2 years younger than me. He likes to act like he's older than me, but he's 2 years younger. But yeah, it's the podcast, and the reason why we started that is something that a lot of people often don't talk about in social media. The kind of outlook that people have on you is it's just this easy thing. You turn on a camera, you talk to it, and you're done. But it can also be quite a lonely place, especially, say, for example, if I'm just sat here working in this room all day or whatever. So we started the podcast to be able to also have that escape where we have that hour and a half or whatever, where we sit down, we talk, we catch up, and we engage with each other, and also just for our mental. Because what I found and what I find with social media and working in content is it's not like a job that you're employed for or whatever. So you often find yourself working 7 days a week because you don't know when your next payment's going to come, or you're working for yourself, you're self-employed. So in that, you don't take that time to step back because you're so busy on, I need to get to the next thing, I need to do the next thing. So the podcast is a way for us to decompress, calm ourselves down, and just like also get our mental regulated.
This podcast is produced by O6, but more than just being a production partner, they're also active members of the Sports Pundit community. Having seen the work they're doing across the industry up close, working with leading F1 teams and Premier League clubs, as well as top creators, I'm so delighted to now have them on board and helping to elevate this show to a new level.
When you think about that 13-year journey, are there any like points that like really stick out to you along that journey, which were, turning points, either on the content side that you were doing or on the business side, that were sort of aha moments, or like, I don't want to do this anymore moments?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. There's key moments that stood out. When I first started it, I remember I had about 2,500 subscribers over a few months or whenever. And I went to school and someone was like, "Oh, that's that YouTuber." And I was like in shock that someone in my sixth form, I was in sixth form at this point, one of the kids had recognized me, was trying to point me out. And like some of my friends were like, what's he talking about? Because I kept it under wraps. So in that initial journey, like it was almost like an embarrassment to like, it wasn't cool to do content like it is now. And I remember when I was on like 7,000 subscribers, they wanted to watch something in class at the end of the term, and someone was like, "Oh, watch Manny's videos. He does videos." And teachers, you see me playing FIFA on the screen, and the teacher's like, "What is this you're doing? Like, you play FIFA and you talk over it." And I was like, Yeah, and he was like, and people watch this? And I was like, yeah, I guess. I remember going out of the class, I was that embarrassed at that point. After that, I had JJ KSI shouting me out after I helped him with his FIFA stuff. And that took me from like 7,000 to like 15,000 subs. And I remember everyone telling me, oh, wow, like this is amazing. You're going to make it now. You're going to go to 50,000 tomorrow. And I hit 15,000. So that was another little boost. But even along the way, when I got to uni, I had about 40,000 subscribers. And when I left uni after about 2 months, I had 60,000 subscribers. But in that point where I decided I didn't want to pursue accounting and finance, I made a decision at that point to be like, if I go into this, I have to give it my all. So that's me not chasing professional football anymore. I'm focused on this. Within a month of leaving uni, I think I went back to London, started collabing with a few people, and I hit 100,000 subscribers. And I remember my friends being like, you're going to hit 200,000. I was like, do you know how hard it was to get to 100? Another 100,000 people are not going to subscribe to me. And then I'd hit 200. They'd be like, you're going to hit 300. You're going to hit 500,000. And I could never see it. So I don't know if it was imposter syndrome or not, but I could never see it. And then fast forward however many years, I'm on 2.1 million subscribers on YouTube or something. So it's insane to me that we've reached there. But I remember as I was getting bigger, I remember Simon saying to me at one point, listen, you need to do X, Y, Z, and you're going to get to this point and you need to do this. And so I've always looked up to like Simon, Josh, JJ, Toby, all these guys who've given me little bits of advice along the way, like even in terms of editing. Toby pretty much told me how to record, how to cut, and left me to it. And then I had to figure things out along the way. So there's little moments like that where I remember someone going, if you do things this way, then you get to this level and you'll be able to do that and do this and do that.
That's a really interesting thing, because I think there is a tendency to assume that you can either speed run your way to success on YouTube or that it's somehow easy. And every time I've met a creator, and yourself included, it's really clear to me that it comes with a lot of grind. I mean, you've said you made the decision. You weren't going to pursue your accounting and finance career at uni. You were going to go all in on this, but you have to be a self-shooting director, a producer, an editor. Then you got to figure out how your videos perform. So that's a bit of analysis. Then you got to go back and, I mean, that's a whole media company in one person's brain.
Yeah.
As somebody who used to work in broadcast, we had local departments that did that. It didn't all happen in one person. That, for me, is really interesting. And this is the thing that I don't think enough of traditional media, and seeing as we're talking about sports media, let's say sports media, really is unlocking in creators. That knowledge and that expertise that you've spent over 10 years learning and distilling up here, it's gold dust. You've more or less grown up on this platform, learning as you've gone. And now you've got, obviously, you've got your podcast with your brothers, and you're a dad too. So now you're beginning to think about the kind of content that your kids are going to grow up watching.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested, knowing all of that stuff that's in your brain and all that experience that you've got. When you look at sports content and you think about how your kids are going to consume content, how do you think sports media really needs to think about how it presents itself to younger kids?
I think it needs to, for me, growing up, we had the likes of like Soccer AM to watch or something like that to look forward to. So it's like, yes, there's the main football that we watch and we support our teams, but how do you create formats where younger children can be engaged? Like we had Street Striker, Football's Next Star, and even just movies like Bend It Like Beckham. Like there's not enough of that, in my opinion, which encourages kids to see football as not just the institution, like let's say like the Premier League or whatever, but more than that in terms of something that's fun, engaging, like football challenges. Like part of what has grown a lot of the UK YouTubers when it comes to sport especially was something that we took from like Soccer AM, Crossbar Challenge. So how do we then go back to creating something that we've done and taken the template from? How do we then go and put that on TV again? Can we recreate something like a Soccer AM, but maybe something for a younger audience? When I was growing up, I don't know if you remember, there's a show called 50-50, where it's like the blue and the yellow team and they challenge against each other. and there's like a little crowd of kids like supporting their friends. Like, can we create formats like that to get kids engaged into seeing if this is something they want to get into? Or there was little shows like Jungle Run back then where I remember being like, oh, I wish I could go on this. Like, how do you create that excitement for kids to be involved? And someone who's doing something like that very well at the moment is Eman SV2, who is one of the biggest creators in the UK right now. He's got the younger audience, he's got his soccer camps, and he's utilizing it very well. So if I were mainstream media, I would go and be looking at something like that, especially if you're looking to convert these people over time into subscribers of things that you're trying to sell towards them, or, so it's how can we create formats that can engage the young audience and make them find what we're doing attractive and fun.
Yeah, it does feel like we've kind of lost that. We've lost those fun shows, whether they were football related, that made you immediately want to go out and recreate it in your back garden or on the street with your friends. Soccer AM was exactly that, wasn't it? It was a kind of what you were doing with Under the Radar. It was people who might not necessarily be great at football, but who loved it enough that they were going to try these challenges or go and show up for a Sunday league team. That's really motivating for young people in wanting them to get out and join in.
Yeah.
Manny, when you think about formats, right? You've got new leagues like Kings League and Baller League. Like, how do you think about those in the context of both, what you've been doing on UTR, but also what you're talking about here in sort of engaging in this next generation of fans?
Yeah, those things are the things I'm talking about exactly. I was actually fortunate enough to play in the Kings League at some point last year, I think it was. And it was an incredible experience because it's something I'd never experienced before. I'd seen little bits about it, but I didn't really get it until I was there. I've been on the sidelines at Baller League as well and seen how they operate. And what they're doing is they've got creators that are familiar faces. They've put this format, they've condensed it because they're thinking that people don't want to watch 90-minute games anymore. How can we make it fun, sharp, engaging, put rules in place to make sure that the game is never just a boring draw or something. So you've never seen a 0-0 in Baller League yet, I don't think. And I don't think you ever will because the format is made so that it has to be entertaining. So there used to be things when I was growing up called Masters Football, where it's ex-pros coming and playing together. But now they've taken that to a new level and brought creators in to manage players and then put rules in place to make it exciting. So that's what I'm talking about. And the young audience has gone crazy for it. The amount of times I go out and people say, oh yeah, I've seen you at Baller League, or I'm going to go to Baller League next week. I hope I see you there. So it's clearly going in that direction. And I think the earlier you get onto it, the better. And can we create things off the back of like a Baller League or something that is similar but different in its own way, a new program altogether that can still get that young audience and keep them engaged, that doesn't have to be a football match? So is it a football challenge show that people compete or apply to get on and win silly prizes or get gunk poured down if they lose? That's the sort of stuff that I grew up watching. And I think if we were to go back into that space and create these things, then we will be in a better position with regards to shaping the new generation and giving them fun things to digest that aren't just YouTube videos that they click off and go to the next one and go to the next one. I said to my missus the other day, we grew up watching Disney Channel and shows like that. Like, how are my kids going to grow up if they're just watching show to show or YouTube to YouTube to YouTube? Like, what are they actually really taking in?
It's a good point, isn't it? When we grew up, you were either a Nick Jr. or a Nickelodeon kid, or you were a Cartoon Network kid. You were a Disney Channel kid. But each one had its own flavor and you kind of aligned yourself to it. They were like little clubhouses, weren't they?
Yeah.
But I don't see that on YouTube. You don't have those clubhouses where you've got those kind of channels or those areas that have got a different flavor of content. Cartoon Network was always the crazy animation that was a little bit bonkers. But like you say, it's just this one long, endless scroll. So, I mean, I think even sports media has a place in that. It could, like you said, one of the best things I love about Baller League, and I watched it every week, and then I went down to the copper box and watched it. And I was watching the audience more than I was watching the play, to be fair. I was watching whether people were on the phones. Was it really that engaging? And there were like groups of teenagers, and they were all kind of guessing with one another that what the game changer was going to be. Just a bit of banter, but it was so active, their engagement with it, that you can do that with video content as well. It's that lean in, almost that, oh my gosh, I can't wait for the next thing. It feels like we've lost a little bit of that in sport. So it's great to think we could bring it back.
What would you do, if you're advising, maybe it's the Premier League, maybe it's another league, and thinking about, things that they can be doing, how they should be approaching partnering with creators in ways that they have not to date? Like, what would be your advice?
I would advise them to take away some of the red tape and start to humanize the professionals, humanize the clubs, allow people to see this, because at the moment, for me, in my mind, and I know for a lot of people, the gap is still like this. It's not too close. So when you see, say, for example, Ola Aina that's playing for Nottingham Forest, when you see him really engaging and getting involved in social media, it's refreshing, because because of what they earn, people then start to put them too much on a pedestal and forget that they're normal human beings. So I think if they were to take some of the red tape away and give more access to creators to be able to go into those spaces and create bits of content that make footballers more relatable and make it a little bit more exciting, as they have been doing in dribs and drabs over the years. And you're seeing it with, be it content with Pro Direct, Sports Direct, or different sort of brands. Like, they are doing these things, but there still is always that red tape of that can't be said, that can't be done, that can't be done. And there's times where, like, I have worked with footballers and clubs, and they have said some of the funniest things, which is on the line, but nothing over the line. And it's like, no, can't put that in there. But that's the humor, and that's the stuff that goes viral, and that's the stuff that goes to the next level. Just even if it's like a player making a silly joke about one of his teammates, and it's not something offensive, but it's something that they're still like, no, we don't want that to go out there. So I think if they were to remove some of the red tape and allow more access, then we could see like great bits of content, great things happening, and numbers just soaring. Kind of like, say, for example, how Britain's Got Talent got KSI on, and it's changed the numbers because you've got someone that the audience can relate to, have grown up with, or are still watching, and they're watching something that the older generation watches. So it's merging, and then the older generation are now going, oh, I know that KSI. Whereas like before, it's like, who is that?
He's really funny. He made me laugh out loud when I was watching an episode. He's just really, but he's really genuine. And to your point, I think that's the thing, isn't it? We've had an era with professional sports people where that distance was made so large they became unrelatable. And this point about humanizing them again, those few athletes that take control of their own accounts, people like Ilona Meyer, who's a female rugby player, and she does get ready with me videos and makeup, but she also does training videos. And in a way, you watch that and go, oh my God, that's amazing. She looks like somebody I would just want to sit down and have a bottle of wine with. And yet she's strong and she's powerful and she plays for a country, but she also looks after her hair and does a makeup. It is so refreshing. I think there's a way to go before athletes, particularly in football, are allowed to.
It's like when James Corden did the carpool with Adele, and everyone's like, Adele's so normal, like she's just like me. Which is, when you see that, it makes you be like, wow, like, and it makes you want to engage with the person more because they've now unlocked another level of relatability in your eyes. But say, for example, I think I saw Alex Iwobi of Fulham saying that, oh, I can't do the dressing room videos anymore. And it's like, no, that's the stuff. It's doing so well. Don't stop it. That's the stuff people want to see. Can you give more access to creators, to players, to not step over the line, but be themselves? And I feel like, even from watching on the outside, I think when those players are able to be themselves, they enjoy being a professional more, because they can go and win a game and dance and play. And, you know, it's not just this robot of, you've lost a game, don't do anything. You've won a game, react, and it's on to the next game. Like, how can we make this be like the norm and allow people to enjoy themselves and make better content and bring more eyes as a result of that?
Yeah, it's a good point, because that's the kind of thing that would inspire participation from younger kids as well, seeing that their favorite player is normal and has a laugh and a joke. Who are the favourite people that you've collaborated with over your time? I mean, you've done some pretty good collaborations. Who would you cite as one of your most fun or favourite collaborations that you've done?
Most fun. There was, I mean, Yaya Toure was pretty cool. There was a player that was playing for Leicester called Christian Fuchs, who this was like 2015, maybe 2016 times. He just got it. From the moment the camera went on, he wasn't a robot, wasn't cagey, didn't want to like step on eggshells. He just got it. He was funny, engaging, and the people loved the content that we shot together. He's making little jokes at the camera. Raheem Sterling's another one who just got it. We were meant to have him for 45 minutes, and in the end, he ended up staying for like 2 hours. Even his agent was like, do you want to go or whatever? He's like, no, I'm having fun. I want to beat these guys at this challenge, you know? So I think now is the perfect time. And especially for someone like me, I engage with and know a lot of the young footballers because they've grown up watching my content. The amount of times I've had players message me and be like, oh, I watch your videos. I used to love watching your videos. I had at a stage one time, Romeo Beckham talking to me about how he wanted me to help him with his ultimate team on FIFA. And I'm thinking like, your dad's in the game. Why are we having this conversation? You know? But it goes to show that there is that room to create great content, great relationships. And I think more so now where the younger generation coming into football now would have literally grown up watching a lot of our content. Now's the time where it should be an easier transition. So I think it's the best moment to capitalize.
So on the flip side, who's still on the list for collaboration that you would love to collab with?
Ronaldo. I went out to Saudi Arabia last year, and I met his son and ended up playing 7-a-side with his son as well, which was pretty cool. But I think Ronaldo would be up there. If I could do a collab with both of them, that would be really cool. Be nice to meet Ronaldinho, Salah. There's a lot of people that I've met Salah, but I would like to collab with Salah. I would love to meet all these people and be able to just bring them into my world and like create content with them and also show people what they're like as humans, aside from the person you see on the screen and you can't touch or can't reach.
Amazing. Well, we're putting it out there to the universe. There's a lot of important people that listen to this podcast. So we'll just put it out there. Okay, well, listen, I think we're nearly at the end, but it's been an absolute treat to chat to you. Thank you for being so generous and open with your advice.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thanks, Manny.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Sports Pundit Podcast, kindly produced by the amazing team at 06. I'll include more information about the guests and the topics covered in the show notes. Head to sportspundit.co to find previous editions, access the newsletter, and to sign up for our WhatsApp group and see upcoming social events in cities around the world. See you again soon.